So Noam, can we talk a little bit about the learning process in the Alexander technique?
Before you asked about teaching, no?
Learning and teaching, how do you teach it? How does someone learn it? What is the process?
How some learning, it's very simple, you have to give yourself to it. Again, the thing is first to see what does it mean to learn. What is to learn? To learn to get up properly or to sit down properly, or what is to learn? To learn is to be aware. You know, I don't call it Alexander technique, I call it way and a process along the way.
Mm-hmm.
An endless way and endless process. Results in this are only milestones along the way. We flow.
Yeah.
You got it? Continue. Now, to learn it is really, there is intellectual, theoretical learning. People can learn by heart the books and everything, but nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
And to learn is to accept the principles that form the whole Alexander technique. What are the principles? You know, MacDonald put 5 principles, I don't remember this. It's faulty sensory repression, primary control, what else? Inhibition and all this. Anyhow, one thing is missing there that he didn't put is the conscious control. And it begins with the conscious control. As Alexander began, when he began, he describes it in the on Use of the Self first chapter. He first came in the brain, you know, to the conclusion that he uses himself in a certain way that causes the hoarseness and loss of voice. It means he realized that something is wrong. And it begins to accept that something is wrong. And to accept, he said it, by the way, don't come to me unless when I tell you you are wrong, you make up your mind to smile and be pleased. We have to accept that something is wrong, not to try to the opposite of wrong, because the opposite of wrong is wrong and not right. Then comes the inhibition. When you realize that something is wrong, not to react. And what is reaction? And Alexander wrote about it in the Use of the Self. Life, as I say, life is stimuli and reactions. That's how life, we want something, the babies when they have the stimulus to drink or to breathe, and they react. Everything is stimuli and reaction. Now the question, what is the conception in the brain? The habitual conception, practical, not theoretical, that causes us to react in a certain way. So it begins with the head, not with the intellect, but with the brain. And when we speak about inhibition, we see it's not to inhibit the muscles' reactions, but to inhibit, to neutralize the brain activity that brings the conception we have in the brain, and to give up this conception, and to, while you give up, while you neutralize it, to accept the new conception, to make it active, creative, practical conception, of the whole, what is called Alexander technique, all the principles that form all together and the whole time. So all these things that inhibiting the habitual reaction, producing the new measures whereby activating what we want to activate through with it, all is, it goes, it's a flow. And by the way, to produce this mitzvah by, here you just sit now. You have to produce it as well. It's not only in movement. It's to have this conception that the inner flowing, the invisible motion, what is nature? Flow, flow, flow. No fixation. And this is a conception that we have to have in the brain. Otherwise, what it is, it's just gymnastic, getting up, sitting down, or whatever. So, learning, what is learning? Learning is changing these conditions in ourselves. To accept it by neutralizing our habitual reactions. And it needs this awareness, a total awareness, which Alexander wrote in the second book about, he wrote this about conscious control. This is a state of acute awareness, and more that causes this and this on a general basis. I call it total awareness, which Krishnamurti calls it choiceless awareness. It means you don't concentrate. Now another thing that came to me very much, you heard I tell people don't concentrate. Because concentration is trying to do it right, to be right. But we still have the wrong conditions in ourselves. So, and what is concentration? Concentration is awareness, but a limited awareness, confined to a certain subject, ignoring and neglecting the whole. And we concentrate endless. And this concentration is end-gaining, it goes together. And looking for results. So this is, when you speak about learning, this is the process of accepting practically in the brain the way and the process along the way. And teaching, the point is, the danger is when you teach, and it's quite prevailing danger, that not only in the Alexander technique, that the teacher knows, and he conveys something that he knows. But knowing and learning and all this is a process as well. Because when I come and I work, I don't say I'll work on you. I come, I increase in myself, my hand, when I just touch you, my hands gets, if I work properly on myself, gets the message, what is there, and even without it, I increase, I take it as an advantage to work on myself stronger. And you see, at the moment you feel that it works, I hardly touch you. Now, you wanted to ask me about the role of the hands.
Yes, but before I want to ask you, so in your teaching, you address the functioning of the brain before you address some kind of movement or so.
Now, by the way, concerning, in my teaching, I see the difficulty. You realize I can change people. That's through working on myself, through my awareness, and always going back to myself, always that time, and not to work on the pupil.
Mhm.
That's the prevailing thing. People think, I know. In whatever you teach, there is no reading the reaction of the pupil, the atmosphere, it's all one. Now, I feel in this quite hard to change, I can change. To work on the brain of people, it's very hard.
Mhm.
And it takes a long time, not 20 lessons and you can carry on by yourself, or 30. People come to me, for 30 years already.
Mhm.
And it forces me to develop with them, to see, to grow with them. And this is the advantage of having, that people come to you for a long time.
Mhm.
Because if you don't give them, if you don't grow with them, normally they are fed up. Or people go away when they can't take the changes really.
Yeah.
It's too much for their brain. Not for the body. It's all the brain. If the brain can accept the changes. Here was Elizabeth today. You saw it.
Mhm.
And it changed tremendous in her life. It's amazing, but she is very intelligent. She has pain in the back. She is a real horsewoman. She knows about horses, unbelievable, and Western riding. But she was always, in her life, she told me, she had to be strong, and to,
Mhm.
in a way. Now it opens and it changes. First she has pain. It's not a disaster, it had pain, just continue to open. And you begin to realize what the pain is. It's a good pain or a bad pain. But this you learn in time through the experience and without panic, without trying to avoid it.
Mhm.
Always open. The great thing that McDonald's told me was, it was the greatest thing he ever told me, because it was in the office I was with him there, and I was depressed for some reason. And then he even didn't look at me and said to me, "No, whatever happens, up." It means all conditions, the worst conditions, remember, have this, what I call it, open. It took me a long time as well to see this inner flow, inner flying. It's something, in words it's hard to explain because people then interpret it according to their conception.
Yeah.
But you have to give them more and more the experience through your hands.
Okay.
Not with your hands, through your hands.
Okay, so we make a break.
So this is